Obtaining a final restraining order in the state of New Jersey can be a difficult and complex process, one that often requires legal assistance. Many victims of domestic violence, though, are hesitant to take this step, but it's important to recognize that filing for a final restraining order or an FRO can protect you from further abuse and provide you with long-term safety. Now, here are 5 steps that you need to consider if you have a case for domestic violence. Step 1 requires you to file a complaint in the county superior court where either party resides or where the incident occurred, or you can go to your local police department. This complaint must include detailed information regarding the incident or incidents, including any physical evidence, photographs, or medical records related to any injuries sustained. You also need to have in your back pocket any witnesses who observed anything relevant to the incident. If the court deems it necessary, it will issue a temporary restraining order, or what we call a TRO, as a form of protection until your final hearing. The complaint must also contain any history of domestic violence if you want to be able to refer to these incidents in court. Now, the TRO typically requires the abuser to stay away from the victim's home and place of work, as well as refrain from making any contact by phone or through electronic means. It'll also require them to not make any third-party contact with the victim. Now, the TRO is valid until the final hearing date set by the court, at which time both parties must appear before a judge who will consider any evidence and testimony in order to determine whether or not to grant you a final restraining order or an FRO. Step 2, the defendant has to be served with a copy of the complaint. As the victim, you should not be the one to serve the other party. This can be done either by a police officer or a court officer. And step 3, you have to hire an experienced attorney. You should not let the ignorance of law prevent you from protecting yourself or your family. It's important that you hire experienced counsel who can guide and support you through this emotional process from the very beginning. Step 4, you need to prepare for your hearing. During the hearing, it's critical that victims present evidence outlining why they believe an FRO is necessary, such as police reports documenting abuse, medical records detailing injuries, or witness testimonies that corroborate your stories of abuse. If granted, final restraining orders are enforceable by law, and failing to obey its terms can result in criminal charges against the abuser. Furthermore, violating a final restraining order can result in repercussions such as a loss of visitation rights or jail time, depending on the severity of the offense committed. Therefore, having an experienced family law attorney during this process can make all the difference when it comes to victims asserting their rights and fighting for justice in court. Once a final restraining order has been granted, it can remain active unless terminated or modified by a court order. It's not enough that you may have an agreement where you guys decide on your own to get back together. There must be legal proceedings that take place. Step 5. After the hearing, it's important to remember that victims of domestic violence have rights that should be respected throughout this process. Never feel ashamed or afraid in your pursuit of justice for yourself or for your family. In addition to completing these steps, it's important for victims of domestic violence to seek out social services and support networks. These resources are essential in helping survivors find safety and stability during such difficult times. Most domestic violence hotlines offer certified advocates with knowledge about how best to assist victims, and these same advocates can provide guidance both before and after you obtain a final restraining order. Ultimately, securing a final restraining order is just one step in finding safety from domestic abuse. However, it's an essential part of reclaiming your autonomy over your life and taking control against abusive behavior. As a victim, you deserve respect and dignity throughout this process, regardless of your gender identity or legal status within our country. As you work towards finding safe solutions, free from fear and danger, so you may once again live happily without fear of retribution or harm. And I understand what it's like to experience domestic violence in your home. As a child victim of that, I had to watch that in my own household, and I remember the impact it's had on my life. So we are here to help you throughout this process, if necessary. Don't feel like you have to handle this alone. Give us a call at 856-359-5222 or just visit us at our website at www.lakeishadeanlaw.com. That's www.law.com. Remember, you don't have to do this alone. We are absolutely here to help you, and we offer free consultations for victims of domestic violence.